Hi everyone. So today we have Ethan and Brandy on the show. It's the second episode of this little silly show. It's called HiHaiTalkTime. The last the last episode we had Ben on here, so I figured it'd just be a natural fit for Brandy to come in. Brandy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm one of Hi's friends that actually did agree to do this. We've known each other since high school. I'm currently out here in Vancouver, BC. Just living life. Recently started the whole stand-up comedy thing. That was fun. I emceed Hi's wedding. That was fun.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brandy.
No problem. So hang on. So before we get started, So what is this? Like, what is the objective? Since the last episode, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of feedback. What's going on?
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the setup. So, I actually don't know. I don't have a clear objective. So, I'm going to go and start calling this sub-series Random Curiosity. There is no objective kind of, conversational flow. Just have interesting people come on and talk. Ethan is a professor.
I've lectured in the past. Ex-academic.
Yes, ex-academic, but he's also really, really knowledgeable in the Bitcoin space. So, Brandy, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. The one thing I do kind of have for you is, why do you have a girl's name? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because right before we started this call, Ethan was expecting a hot girl, and then that's why he put on his nice jacket for you, right?
Yeah.
So he's looking spiffy just for you. So when you showed up, you made him disappointed. So you're gonna have to tell us why.
Well, first of all, I guess for Ethan, don't worry about it. You're not the first one. I've let down many men in my time. A lot of disappointed people. I guess for the name, so I am here to.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut you off. Sorry,
we're in Vancouver, and it's a long story. It's a true story too, which is kind of weird. But what is it? I guess So in Vietnamese culture, when you go to visit family members, the gift to bring is usually some kind of alcohol, usually like a cognac or something fancy. So in this case, it was my uncle was visiting from the U.S. When my mom was pregnant, and he brought a bottle of really good brandy. And then, a couple weeks after he left, my dad decided to enjoy the brandy, like all of it. And he decided to go for a drive in the middle of the night. And then, I guess during his drive, he got stuck on these train tracks. On the train tracks, a police officer had helped him off, didn't notice that he was wasted out of his mind, let him go with a warning. He got home, and then later that night, my mom went into labor. So on their way to the hospital, they got stuck on the same set of train tracks, and then the police officer came by, helped him off, but noticed that my dad was drunk, so started talking to him, and then all the while, my mom's like sitting in the seat, like, panting and breathing, and their English wasn't very good, so he had no idea how to articulate that my mom was pregnant, so it's just, my wife, she's baby, and then the police officer put one and one together. By that time, he had already received a ticket. But then the officer, they left the car there, they drove my parents to the hospital, and then, I guess, so after I was born, so my dad realized, so he's got this parking ticket, or this traffic ticket now, he's got to pay for to get the car out of impound, and he's got this new mouth to feed, so at the end of it, he named me after the root of the problem, which was the brandy. And, that's the story. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, what's with the mug?
Oh, okay. I got to tell you about this. So this is one of the feedback that we had from the first episode. We actually ended up taking it to like a little bit more than an hour, but because we recorded it at pretty high quality, it ended up cutting a little bit early. So we're trying to lower the quality, and it's a little bit of a learning experience. We're going to figure it out.
How does that have to do anything with your mug?
Wait, I'm getting there. And just with all of this, right? I've received a lot of feedback, and that was one of the comments, right? One of the comments was, "Hey, you guys just kind of ended. That was awesome. It reminds me of
Sopranos.
The Sopranos, where it's like they're going, boom, they're done." So, and the second comment that people had was, "You should have something. You should have something in your hand." So now we have mugs.
And we're gonna end the show at a random point.
Yeah,
right?
and
It's
you
just
know,
gonna cut off.
no one's gonna notice. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep that theme going, and it'll just all of a sudden we're talking, it's over, and then they'll
Yeah.
be like, what the?
We'll have to
Didn't
tune
make
in next
sense.
time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on, right? So one of the comments where, you know, have a couple of mugs or something in your hands, and then maybe look at the camera more. Wait, which
Yeah.
one am I supposed to be
Yeah.
looking at? Okay, I don't know which
That
one.
one.
Okay, this one. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I'm also gonna look at the camera more. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, okay. Well, I was gonna say the mug is a good idea. You do a lot of like the last episode. I noticed you guys, you were doing a lot of weird things with your hands. You're doing a lot of this crab claw thing. You do that, yeah. So no, hold the mug. Don't do that. Just hold the mug. Hold the mug with both hands. No, both hands.
And the crab claw.
There you go. There you go. Keep it that way. Actually, yeah. Keep the mug up there.
Where's your mug?
Oh.
We're gonna have to get one
What's
and
that?
then
What's
just
these
put it
types of
in.
tea? I see that.
I have specially designed mugs for the show.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice to have like a specially designed mug for the show.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess we're just kind of waiting for Brandy to come back on. A little bit of a technical difficulty at the moment. Brandy, can you hear us?
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear
okay,
you.
good, good.
Is there a lag? Is there a lag?
Just a little bit. So, I wanted to ask you, how did you get to become a comedian? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I guess. Back in I guess January. So nobody knew this, but I lost my job, and then you know, since moving out here to Vancouver, I've always had sort of, I don't know, not so much a bucket list, but a list of things maybe that I've always wanted to do that maybe I wasn't allowed to do because my parents wouldn't let me.
Right, so some type of list that could go into a bucket.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
What's up with the bucket?
So
Why would
I
you?
lost my
Why
job
is a
back in
bucket important?
January, and then yeah. So I mean, with all that free time, I figure, you know, give this a try. I was turning 30 at the time, and it was one of those things that I wanted to do it since I was 14, and I've for as long as I remember, I've always jotted stuff down. So no time like the present. I took like I guess I did like a 6-week thing where they forced you to write your material, and then at the end of it all, you have to go on stage to do it. So after I did it, I got a lot of good feedback from it, and then yeah, I just kind of rolled with it. It's been kind of crazy, like how quickly it's been progressing. But yeah, it's one of those things. I guess it's kind of like my version of your podcast. You know, just
Yeah,
do it, go jump in head first, and see what comes up.
cool.
Yeah. And so,
Okay.
how did the podcast come about? Like,
Oh.
what's up?
So originally, I was telling Ray,
Okay.
we were rock climbing and whatnot, and I was telling Ray, hey, do a podcast. It's kind of interesting. You can kind of teach people how to rock climb. Or Ray's one of our mutual friends, and
Ray,
talk
it's
about.
also, I find it ironic because
Yeah.
Ray likes to climb rocks, but he's got very tiny like hands and feet.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think he actually broke a finger, and it's.
So
Yeah.
his last finger.
Yeah, well, no, he's okay now. I think his finger is recovering. But anyway, so we had a discussion. I was like, well, I kind of want to do a podcast. I have no idea what I want to talk about. So let's just make it random. Oh, yeah, getting back to a point. So we're going to call the series where it's a lot of random discussion, random curiosity, and just go with the flow and see where it leads, right?
Okay.
So tell us about your shows. How many have you done, and you know which club you're at, and if we want to check you out. We're not in Vancouver, of course, but for everyone that wants to check you out in Vancouver, where should they go?
So right now, I'm sort of all over the place. Vancouver's sort of odd. There's not really one place to go see comedy. Like typically in Toronto, you've got your main clubs that a lot of people go to. So like here, we do have Yuck Yucks as well. But we've also got, so the 3 big ones are Yuck Yucks, Comedy Mix, which is downtown, and one that's called Laugh Lines, that's out in New West. So those are the big ones. I'll be at any of those ones probably maybe every few weeks or so.
Okay.
But then there's a lot of smaller shows downtown. Usually I'll announce them on my Facebook.
Oh.
I haven't really gotten into like the social media thing yet. I don't feel that I'm at that point, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm big on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have
But
do you
yeah,
have a website?
as
Is
far as how
there?
many shows, um,
Lost him.
website? No,
Yeah.
no website. Yeah, I'm putting together something, but
Okay.
we'll see how it goes. Like right now, there's not too much of a need for it.
Okay.
More focused on just writing more and getting more material out there.
Cool.
Back to the question about like how many shows I've done. Since I've started, I think I'm in the 20s now,
Nice.
which is good. And then
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really like putting my time in. But
Okay.
yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know anymore.
So is your goal to do like solo stand-up shows for HBO or some
Oh.
Canadian show, start your own little sitcom in Canada, or do you have any sort of idea of where you want to end up?
Yeah, so been working a little bit, trying to figure out the acting thing. Hopefully, maybe start auditioning a bit more. I was able to audition and made it pretty far in one of the NBC auditions for Stand Up NBC. I didn't get called down to California, but it was nice just to be a part of the semifinal showcase. As far as sitcoms, yeah, I mean, you definitely. I'm always putting stuff together, and then hopefully one day we'll be able to pitch. As far as like an HBO special, yeah, that's also. I mean, who knows if by the time I get there, if HBO will still be like the place to put out a special. Well, right now it seems like Netflix is putting out a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
Ethan,
Cool.
I can't see your face. Like, what's your involvement in all this? How's Hi using you?
Oh.
Yeah, so I work for Decentral down here. I used to
Very
do a lot of academic stuff, and then for the last year or so I've been here at Decentral, and Hi and I are friends,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's doing a lot of the accounting for like Ethereum and Decentral and other companies around in this area. He's a pretty cool dude, so we hang out, and now he's been graciously invited me onto his show, and we're gonna talk about random curiosities.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So it's just kind
Where's
of.
the studio? Where's the
It's
studio?
at 64 Spadina, so
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Kind of a nice back room here.
Yeah. It's right at King and Spadina.
I moved your webcam around to show you this area. Unfortunately, the last time I tried to do that, as you know, a few minutes ago, everything broke.
Yeah,
So-
we're probably gonna have to apologize for the technology. It's still kind of being worked out. I gotta figure out how to make it perfect, but yeah, going forward, I think it'll gradually get better. So if there's any glitches and whatnot, I apologize in advance, but it'll steadily get better from time to time. Yeah. So okay, cool. Do you have any other questions for Ethan?
Yeah.
Oh man. Not as of yet. I'm sure stuff will come up as we talk. But,
Yeah.
no,
What
nothing
about
right now.
Bitcoin? Is there anything in the
so,
Bitcoin space?
Okay. So I know you started Bitcoin a while ago. So mining and all the basic stuff. But like you said, so you mentioned that decentral. So I checked out the decentral website. It's all Bitcoin stuff. Like, what is it? How does it? Is it managing Bitcoin or what is decentral?
Decentral is Bitcoin. No,
No,
I'm kidding. Ethan.
Yeah, so it's a sort of a home that we have for decentralized technologies here in downtown Toronto. But it's mostly on, like as I said, decentralized technologies, not just Bitcoin, because we've recently
Right.
rebranded from, it used to be called Bitcoin Decentral
Yeah.
for quite some time. But we're working on both Bitcoin and second generation Bitcoin technologies, and ultimately kind of furthering decentral. I'm going to keep saying decentral technology.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, the nature of the beast here. But yeah, any kind of innovative ideas in this space, we're welcome to sort of help advance, I guess,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Brandy, do you know what the blockchain technology is?
No.
Okay, so Bitcoin's sort of based off of, or a lot of the technology is based off of blockchain technology, and what it essentially is, it's a ledger. So that's like for accounting purposes, the time entry is really important on when you get a transaction through. So what Bitcoin does is it's able to timestamp transactions as it comes through. So then it authenticates that. Let's say, for example, if I were to send someone money and it was you, I send it to you, and then it gets timestamped, and then it knows the money is with you now.
Right.
So that's sort of how it works. And then go ahead. I'm gonna butcher up stuff. So correct me if it's like kind of off. But it's really really innovative. And I think at this point a lot of merchants are starting to see the advantage of dealing in Bitcoin as compared to other forms because it's extremely cheap from a merchant perspective. Like you end up saving a ton of money. You go from whatever your current merchants, whatever your current payment service providers are charging you, let's say 2.53% down to a penny per transaction.
So how does that work though? Like let's say somebody I've never mined Bitcoin. I don't know how to access Bitcoin. So if a merchant were to implement it, I mean, how would someone like me know where to get it and how to use it?
Well, in that case, you can just treat it like another payment vehicle. So in this case, suppose you have Bitcoins, you've purchased it either through some individual or you've received it as pay or various other mechanisms. Now you want to go and spend it. You have a number of advantages in this system. For one, you can buy anything from anyone anywhere in the world almost instantly and for free so long as they accept Bitcoin. So you just need to have their receive address, which I guess is analogous to your transit number in Canada. Branch and transit numbers, you can then deposit money into those accounts. In this case, you just get a QR code, which is really just a long alphanumeric code that you just send your Bitcoin to, and the transaction gets broadcast across the network. And these nodes in the network exist all over the world. And once that's done, those transactions get swept up into these little blocks of transactions, and then through various computing power, they get secured, so it becomes very difficult to reverse or modify. And historically, of course, through the digital transaction systems, I guess it was like banks and Visa and PayPal, MasterCard, and companies like that were the organizations, these third parties, that ensured that those transactions didn't get manipulated after the fact, or also that you didn't duplicate your money, so just like double spend it or triple or quadruple spend it for free. Essentially, it's easy to copy bits in the digital world. We've got to make sure that you can't just go and copy it, because in any financial system, being able to copy money for free instantaneously is a bad thing to have in your system.
Oh yeah.
So historically, like I said, the banks would have done that, or Visa or PayPal, MasterCard. Bitcoin solves that problem in a decentralized manner. It doesn't require any sort of central point of control or failure.
Right. And it goes back to those miners then, because they just keep on chugging along, processing transactions, and as they process transactions, Brandy, they get paid to continue doing that, performing that function. So it'd be really hard to take down the Bitcoin network. Like essentially, you'd have to find out where all these home computers, professional.
It's the same way it's really hard to shut down BitTorrent sites.
Right.
It's a similar technology, and that you have a sort of peer-to-peer network. If I seed a file, like a legitimate file on the internet, maybe LibreOffice or something, we have computers around the world that also seed it. If any organization wants to shut down one or two nodes or two computers that are seeding it, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be available as long as other people are seeding it.
Absolutely.
Bitcoin, as long as people are broadcasting or collecting transactions and broadcasting them, it's the network will remain viable. Yeah.
What's the security like from a consumer standpoint? Like
ultra powerful.
It is ultra powerful, but there are some downside to the fact that people are now their own banks. So the problem with you being your own bank is that if you create, let's say grandma likes to keep her passwords simple, and she'll use flour, all her passwords.
Not a recommended password.
Yeah, so the problem there is that if you have a Bitcoin wallet with a ton of money in it and you use a simple password, there's a good chance someone's going to find the password and your money is going to be gone.
Yeah.
So you are responsible for your own security.
Yeah, so in our traditional fiat system that we're all familiar with, obviously, we entrust that the banks will keep our money safe. Or it's CDI, in Canada, it's CDI. Is it what's the insurance?
No, you're right.
That would insure it, hopefully, if the banks fail.
Up to $100,000. Yeah.
So as Hai mentioned, given when he said like you are your own bank, it means that anybody can create a Bitcoin wallet for free anywhere in the world, but it does mean that you now have to take responsibility for your cash. It's kind of like having a really secure mattress. keep it. So you don't want to keep it on your phone all the time because phones can get hacked,
Right.
computers get hacked. I think the instances of that are quite rare,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, your computers are vulnerable systems.
Yeah.
So you can create what's called cold storage wallets. So it's essentially like a paper or multi-sig wallet that's kept offline. It's a bit more inconvenient, but of course it's always a trade-off between convenience and security.
Absolutely.
And I think even though it's a bit inconvenient, it does mean you can keep it outside of a bank and ensure that it's not going to get hacked. Keep a couple extra backup copies and encrypt these wallets just in case your house burns down, you lose it.
Yeah.
You don't want to only have one copy. Yeah. Or if you forget your password, that would be a bad thing. I
Yes.
think we're at a stage here, don't forget your password.
Yeah, if you forget your password, it's equivalent to losing it.
I guess like amnesia is a bad thing to have in this, to acquire in this world. Or even if a lot of people I've found do keep unencrypted paper wallets.
Yeah, they can do that.
Which is fine, in that case it's a lot like keeping cash around, because
pretty
cash
much.
is unencrypted.
Yeah.
It's just, so don't get it stolen from your wallet or from your house.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Don't
I guess
publicly flash it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Bitcoiners are pretty good about not doing that.
Yeah.
I think an advantage, as we've mentioned with regards to like a mattress, is that historically, at least in North America, historically, and still going on now in other parts of the world, you can't trust the banks to remain viable or to give you all the cash that you have in it. So you have $100,000. Well, if you want to take it out, it's a long process to get that.
Yeah.
And also, you're not always guaranteed that the banks aren't, or the government's not going to come and seize it, or for whatever reason, maybe a suspicion of illegal activity.
Oh yeah.
And that can be tied up. I mean, you're not doing anything illegal, but there just has to be a suspicion of it, like in the States,
Yeah.
especially. So lots of reasons that you could suddenly lose all your assets, financially, your bank assets. And Bitcoin makes sure it allows you to keep it secure yourself.
Yeah.
And with that comes great responsibility. Though.
Yeah, it does. So there was one segue that I wanted to get into. So Jeff Coleman, really smart guy here. He's actually introduced some measures around wallets just to kind of protect them more with automatic safeguards. So if you happen to hold a wallet that has a large amount and you prefer to use the password flower within it above certain thresholds, this standard wallet protocol will then, let's say,
It's
require
you're referring to as burn contracts?
Right. But just the steps leading up to the burn contract is several security measures. So let's say, Brandy, if someone tries to move $1,000, it'll send a message to your phone, and then you have to confirm it for the wallet to send it. So it's sort of like making a large purchase with a credit card. And then if you hit another threshold, you'd have to log in and enter a separate password. So you have two passwords, and your second password is required in addition to answering your phone. So just a bunch of measures as it goes up, so then you can still kind of have your cake and eat it too. Simple password flower for everything above $100.
Yeah.
So I mean, theoretically, someone could still hack into your account and slowly spend your money away, right? Sending $100 transactions, but
well, there's one wallet called Green Address that already provides similar functionality to that.
Oh,
so
cool.
In this case, you have a Google Authenticator, so a two-factor authentication, kind of like another PIN code.
Yeah.
So you need not only a PIN code to log into your wallet, you could also have a PIN code in order to send above a certain threshold. So you set it at 1 Bitcoin. Once that's depleted, you then have to enter your authenticator password. You can also set it up for an email authentication as well, and SMS authentication, and then of course have an extra password in order to send it from that wallet.
Okay.
Just don't keep everything on one phone. Or you have a second device for your authentication or for your email to make it more secure.
Cool.
But I think having those extra 2FA factors on your phones is a good idea.
Yeah. The other thing, Brandy, if you want to think about it, just kind of from a very simple perspective, Bitcoin can be thought of as the new plumbing of the financial world.
For those of us who are not part of this world.
So what I mean by that very easily is that if you're someone who works in every day, you're a merchant, you do everything normal, but you do want to start accepting Bitcoin just because it does save you some fees. So you create a merchant account. There's lots of vendors out there they'll assist you with that. So you create a merchant account. What I mean by the plumbing is then on your website, let's say you sell widgets. You sell a widget for $5. Someone pays you $5 worth of Bitcoin. A lot of these payment processors will then take that $5, convert it back into cash for you, and then you can just pull it out. So for you, it almost seems like there's no distinction.
That's keeping it
except
purely
you
as
save.
like as a just sort of another payment vehicle or way that you can accept money.
Yeah.
And so if you're worried about the volatility of Bitcoin, price of Bitcoin, then you can have the exchange just converted immediately into cash.
And the big advantage to that is you save a huge amount of fees, and in
But
some
you also
cases,
we wanted to talk about this earlier.
Yeah.
You also save the fees from chargebacks because there's no such thing as
Yes.
chargebacks on the Bitcoin network. Unlike Visa, similar companies, or PayPal, your consumer can come in like a month or 2 or 3 months later and say, I didn't receive it or it wasn't quite what I asked for, therefore reverse the charges. And this can be like 10 to 20% of the fees for some merchants. And similarly, on the Bitcoin network, you're not charged percentage fees for the amount that's transacted. So Visa might charge like 3% for the transaction. So all of a sudden, right off the bat, just by accepting Bitcoin, the merchant's already saved 3%. And if you're an international business and you're trying to send money overseas or between countries, you often have to pay like wire transfer fees or settlement fees, and it takes days to do it sometimes. So you could put in Bitcoin, you just move it in a minute or two.
Yeah. So if you know anyone from Vietnam, for example, Brandy, and you want to send them $100 for Christmas, if you set up a wallet, you put some Bitcoins in there, you could send it to them. It would arrive 10 minutes after. So that's a huge advantage compared to you walking to, I don't know, insert X company and then tell them, hey, you want to send $100 into Vietnam? They'll say, sure. It'll cost you $10, so you send them $90, and it'll arrive in a week. Right? So you send the money, it'll get there, it takes a little bit longer. So just from a technology perspective and fitting it into the current working model, there's still a lot of benefits through adopting Bitcoin. It just saves you a ton of money. And I think that this...
And we're just touching the surface here.
Oh,
we're kind of
absolutely.
giving a really general overview of Bitcoin. There's lots more to go into. But,
Yeah.
any other questions on that?
Yeah.
No, I guess it's still absorbing, I suppose, all of it. I mean, other than saving the fees, the chargeback thing, that was an interesting one because chargeback, so that could be beneficial to either the merchant or the consumer, depending on, I guess, what the situation is. Is there anything like that with Bitcoin? So if let's say somebody did, well, I guess, no, that's sort of answered. I suppose everybody's responsible for their own money, so.
Yeah. It shifts the balance of power a little bit. It removes the fraud. So if a merchant...
Removes consumer fraud.
Well, yeah, you're right. It removes consumer fraud, but it also, overall, it's going to protect, I think, consumers in the long run too, because usually people raise red flags fairly quickly. So let's say you have a reputable company and they're processing all of your transactions, you send them $5 and they'll send you your widget, and all of a sudden you notice that there's starting to be a slowdown. You'll find within the Bitcoin community as people start to raise that as an alarm, saying, hey, I don't know what's going on with this company, they're sending stuff slower, and it might be a sign of nothing, where let's say they're just extremely successful, then they'll start to ship more, they put a message on their board, guys, thank you for your support, we've had wild success, whatever, so we're going to try and ship these things out faster, but our supply chain is just a little bit slow, or it could be they're going bankrupt, right? So it makes it so you're a lot more vested or invested in these companies, and you end up following them a lot closer. And at the sign where, let's say, this merchant does go bankrupt, people will just stop doing business with them fairly quickly.
I think it's a matter of building a good reputation and being trustworthy.
Absolutely.
For sure. Good qualities to have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is there a website out there where right now like a strict, like a Bitcoin only economy exists? So I can go there. Not only can I offer some kind of service to earn Bitcoin, but I can also spend my Bitcoin there on groceries and whatever else other people are offering. Like, is there like an isolated economy for that just now?
Not so much for Bitcoin, but I think permacredits, which is a similar alt currency with Xavier Hawk. Permacredits.com.
I haven't heard about this one, so maybe you can tell me about it as well.
I don't want to be put on the spot to talk, but we have talked to Xavier about it here at Decentral. So he's kind of run a community. You're trying to run a self-sustaining community where the accepted currency is permacredits.
Yeah.
And you could earn that by working in the commune or in the farm or the piece of land.
Yeah.
And they're trying to become, I think they're at 40% self-sustaining. They're trying to obviously get to 100%.
Yeah.
Or at least close to that.
Okay.
And run it so that the entire economy would be alternative, not currency in that case, just permacredits. But Bitcoin, I don't think there's a community like that in Bitcoin. However, I think a lot more businesses are now paying employees in Bitcoin, part because employees are asking for it and demanding it, but also businesses I think realize that this is a great way to send money, especially for foreign workers, or if you've got workers between the United States and Canada, and you can send it to them instead of waiting for a 72-hour wire transfer. For like large amounts, you can just send Bitcoin and have them cash it in whatever country that they're in.
Yeah. There's a lot more consumer businesses, Brandy, that's starting to accept Bitcoin. Like even PayPal is doing something with it. I don't know exactly what. They're starting to experiment with various merchants. Expedia is another one that
Dell accepts it.
Yeah, Dell accepts
Tiger
it.
Direct, Overstock.com.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of companies that are starting to accept it. It's going more mainstream. I'd say still fairly niche, but it's slowly making its way there. Can you purchase grocery with it? Probably not. Not for a while. But if you really want to, you could convert them into gift cards through Gift and buy just about anything at this point in time, right? So there's a lot of advantages. Can you use it for the consumer? It's getting there, slowly
we saw
getting
even
there.
in the early days with PayPal.
Yeah.
Very few websites accepted PayPal in the early days, and now
absolutely.
almost all of them integrate it quite easily into their sites.
Yeah.
I think we're still very early days with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I think, or in the same with cryptocurrencies in general.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to come. Another advantage of cryptocurrencies we haven't discussed is tipping or microtransactions.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a huge.
Oh, this is
option.
perfect for you. I can talk to you about it a little bit later. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. You start. You start.
So I mean, a while back, Bitcoin was used to, or still is, of course, used to tip individuals when they produced a little book, or you like the article that this person has written. So you can just tip them a little bit instead of having them put up a PayPal, button on your site, and you've got to go through that process. But instead on the Bitcoin one, you can send it to them immediately and just let them know that you appreciate what they're doing and help supplement their income if they even have one, and kind of encourages them to write more, and a great way to directly encourage good content. And so that can be either through Bitcoin or through Litecoin or Dogecoin. Bitcoin, though, isn't always free. If you want to have it picked up by the network immediately, it costs about 4 to 5 cents for any amount, whether it's $1 million or $5. So there are other currencies, like I said, Dogecoin or Litecoin, that are particularly good for this tipping aspect, where they're practically free to send. And so it's coming.
And Brandy, so where this could be of interest to you is, let's say for example, you're doing your comedian stuff. You can put some of it online, and as you're putting it online, you get a lot of people that watch it and a lot of people that will like it, and they'll give you comments and whatever. And then one of the things that you can have is, I don't know, a couple of tipping addresses. So one for Bitcoin, one for Litecoin, one for Dogecoin, and then all of a sudden people that watch and if they happen to have the cryptocurrency and they really like it, they can send you fractions of a penny or they could send you whole dollars, right? And then all of a sudden you can watch that. It's kind of interesting to see, if it actually does work, how much you would potentially get. So that's another
this
source.
is especially good for places where banks aren't always readily accessible. Because in order to use PayPal or Visa, you have to have a bank account.
Absolutely.
In Bitcoin, you don't need to have a bank account in the traditional sense, in the traditional world.
Yeah.
So, maybe bank accounts aren't, like in certain countries or regions, right? You don't have ready access to one. But in this case, you can still do microtransactions and tipping without those aspects, or without those accounts. So it kind of opens it up for a lot of people, like maybe doing small comedy performances, or they put some certain stuff online. It's a whole new world of opportunities or possibilities that's coming.
So
what were those two that you mentioned? I've heard of Bitcoin, but I've never heard of, was it Dogecoin?
Yeah, Dogecoin is it's a currency that's denominated in a much smaller fraction, so people can literally send you fractions of a penny. And the reason why they would do that, it's more to show, hey Brandy, we like what you're doing. Here's some money. it shows that you're on the right track. So keep on going. It's like a form of encouragement as opposed to really saying that, here's $1 million. It's not, that's not the purpose, but it's kind of to say where, let's say you're on a forum, you make a really smart comment or a really useful comment, something that contributes to the community. They'll give you something
or
just to
to
say.
yourself too. Oftentimes, hey,
absolutely.
I read that article and it, I got a lot out of that.
Yeah,
Rather than sending some money to Wired.com magazine
Right.
or whatever magazine you're reading it from, and hopefully the money gets back to the author.
Right.
No, just put a Bitcoin or Doge or Litecoin tipping address, and you go straight to the author as a direct indication of appreciation of their work.
Yeah. So a lot of what these alternative currencies, Litecoin and Dogecoin were the other one, they're similar to Bitcoin, except they process transactions quicker, or they have a different feature. They do something slightly different. They'll mine a different amount of coins and whatnot. Because I know Litecoin processes a certain factor faster.
Factor
Of, I don't know, like 4 times faster, generates a block faster.
Block time is a minute or 2 minutes, or in that range. I don't remember.
All that means is, Brandy, that when you send a Litecoin, it'll arrive to you faster than if I were to send you any fraction of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin would typically take 10 minutes to get at least 1 confirmation, and then when you have 6 confirmation, it means that it's likely yours and it's gone through this many nodes. I don't know the full technical aspects of it, so I'm not going to bother.
We don't need to go into those details. Even when you send a Bitcoin transaction, it gets noticed immediately, almost immediately by the network, and you can consider that a valid transaction. There's a possibility it's going to get rejected by the network. It's very, very low. But when you have these block confirmation times, it just pushes that transaction deeper into the blockchain, making it much less likely that it can be reversed or modified, at least on the high level.
And this is why we have Ethan, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, but it usually has to go through a confirmation before you can spend it again.
Yeah.
So, and also with the longer block times, if you're trying to move funds between different wallets, that can, and if there's 10 minutes is just an average, at least for Bitcoin. It could be 20 minutes or an hour. I can slow things down with faster block confirmation times. You can move funds quicker.
Brandy, offline, if you need help, I can help you. Setting up these things are quick. They're fairly quick. You don't really need a computer. It's just, I think iOS has a couple of apps that you can get. Ethan knows, right? Can you recommend a few?
Yeah, I mean, there's Viva, PHEEVA.com is a decent Bitcoin wallet. It's good community building that one.
Right.
Green Address, I like greenaddress.it. I'd recommend those ones. You can also
and there's CryptoKit, of course, as well as Rush Wallet.
If you're on your computer, recommend CryptoKit or Rush Wallet on your desktop.
You guys should put these links in the description.
We'll write a little sub bar somewhere in the description. It might be easier.
So we'll definitely do that.
Now, with your comedy, this is something that you could consider as well. You put a little QR code, like a Bitcoin QR code, during your show, or if you're making a little video of it that goes on YouTube, and people, they really appreciate what you're doing, and they could just scan the QR code from your YouTube video and send funds directly to you as a show of appreciation for your hilarious work. But I think, was it also Louis C.K.? He didn't work on the Bitcoin, but did something somewhat similar in terms of like community building or and trust, where he recognized that people are going to be pirating his videos and his comedy. So what did he do? He put it up for free, or said, please pay $5, or how did that system work?
Yeah, it's listen. I know it's going to be pirated, but if you enjoyed it, it'll please donate $5 or whatever you have. And he ended up with 1 million downloads, with every single one paying at least $1, I believe.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you get it for free at this point? You could just download it and not pay anything, or did you have to put like a certain amount of money in?
No, it was he put it up. I think you did have to put some money in. Even a penny would have worked. Okay. I don't recall what it was, but it was clever. It was more of, I think it was his sincerity that really sold it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it was an interesting way of doing it. Now I think everybody else has gone ahead and adopted that style as well.
Yeah.
It's also a matter of producing good work and not locking it down on DRM.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
just say, like, I'm going to release this. Here's some methods for making it reasonable and cheap for you to pay me a little bit. And that works out well. I mean, I think that's also Apple's kind of, I wouldn't say innovation, but at least what they've capitalized the most on was people were, pirating music.
Yeah.
Probably because it's convenient, but mostly because there was no reasonable way of paying for it
Right.
at that point, right? Because all the record labels like Sony and Warner Brothers said, "Oh, you're going to only buy it through CD," and they're really, or go through their crazy, opaque systems for purchasing it, which ended up getting shut down. And,
hey, have you guys been following what's going on with Sony? I heard they got
hacked.
Yeah, they got hacked, right? What's up with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I read it. I don't know what that's all about.
It was
any
the
insight?
largest
do you know
hacks
any
in
more
history. I guess 100 terabytes of data, as far as I heard.
That's a lot.
And like 3,800 SSN and various like social security type numbers. Lots of payroll information. I think even health records.
So
who got fired, reasons for termination. I mean, it's astonishing. My weird thing about this is how the heck do you not notice 100 terabytes of data getting siphoned from your network? I mean, not even if like your security people didn't notice it, your network administrators should have noticed something like this.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time it's happened to them either.
Because I hear from the articles that I've read, anyways, that it's related to this movie called The Interview that they're gonna be releasing. That's related to a fictitious plot to take out a certain North Korean leader. So apparently that's why. But in the article, it said that North Korea has claimed that they have nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. But that's that. So Brandy, you recently got engaged. Congratulations.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us more. How did it happen?
Very quickly. It was
He asked,
confusing.
she said yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this someone that you knew, or is it random, or?
Yeah. It's even better if it's random.
Yeah, just walk up to a woman on the street and say, I want companionship. Will you marry me?
It would have worked out better if it was random. At least she might have said no.
Wait. Would have worked out better. Maybe you want to watch.
What is it? Yeah, I got engaged last year. Actually, around this time, so December. So I've been engaged for a year. It's
Awesome.
It's kind of insane. It's weird. It seems like that time, Hi was the last one out of our little group to get married, and I guess I'm the next one down. So that'll be interesting. That'll be in August.
Cool.
The wedding planning process is interesting.
Yeah.
So are you going anywhere for that, or keeping it in Vancouver?
I'll probably keep it in Vancouver.
Okay.
I guess for some of the guys, they haven't been out yet, so bring them out here. Are you are you confirmed, Hi?
Yeah. We're definitely going.
Is Annette confirmed?
Yeah, she's coming too. So we'll see you in Vancouver. If she doesn't, I'll just drag her. Caveman style, by the hair.
Yeah. Are you coming out to Vancouver? Are either of you guys coming out to Vancouver anytime soon? Or?
Yeah, I don't think we have any plans to go out there, at least not in the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
There's a good Bitcoin community out there, so.
You went this year?
No, I didn't go.
Yeah.
Anthony went this year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's actually off in Rio right now.
Yeah. For
Lucky bastard.
the Bitcoin conference, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So many. There's gonna be more in Vancouver, Seattle, or in kind of the north states. So when one of those come up next, we'll probably pop over and get over to Vancouver for fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Vancouver's gorgeous in the summer.
And my mom lives on Vancouver Island, so I
Yeah.
could probably make a trip out there.
Nice. I've seen a few of those Bitcoin ATMs around. Those are interesting. I've never seen anyone use it, just because I guess it's still pretty niche, but it's kind of cool to see how it's grown.
Yeah.
I think Vancouver has like the highest Bitcoin machines per capita, or somewhere in that range, some ratio like this. There's 20 machines in that range. In fact, one you might be able to see it. A lot of the machines are this little skyhook type device. So this is. Let's just pull this beast here. I don't know if you can you see it.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a little open source $1,000 skyhook machine. Runs on a little Raspberry Pi. Now we're gonna get into like open source tech hardware talk. Random curiosities. So this is produced by a company I think in Portland, Oregon, somewhere in that. I think they're Portland. For $1,000 you get a fully operational Bitcoin machine. You can at least buy Bitcoin. You can't sell it with this machine. So they often run up run through a company in Vancouver, an exchange It's their head office in Vancouver, and so they put them around different bars and other locations, restaurants and whatnot, to try to make it relatively convenient to get Bitcoin. So if you're interested, these are pretty fun devices.
Yeah,
It's pretty cheap, I think, too, for $1,000. You could even just put this like at your house if you have a lot of parties.
Yeah.
Just put it in your house and have people just buy Bitcoin regularly from you, or who knows?
Yeah, you want one, Brandy? Side project.
Kind of. It's adorable. It's definitely it's a very cute looking machine. It looks like one of those old Macs. Like the Apple
does.
One.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We could actually, that would be a good mod to make for it.
It would.
Like those
It would
Apple
be
IIes have like the crazy LED, like an old monochrome green and black LED or LED screen, and maybe make the floppy drive the cache acceptor. Right? You know those 5 1/4 inch floppy disk drives? I like that. Would be a pretty sweet mod.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome looking. I'd love to see it in action, but maybe next time.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah, if you ever come, I'll take you by and I can show you how everything works. Yeah.
Who fills up? So does money shoot out of that thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But not at that one.
Okay.
This one you just put money in, and then
I
Bitcoins get shot out onto your Bitcoin wallet. Yeah.
There's a couple of others that will shoot out money.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
And the one you can probably see behind me. Can you see the orange one? I don't know if we can see it on our screen.
I can see the logos, but I can't see.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there's a machine behind us. The audience can see it.
Yeah.
It's,
I see. Oh.
It was the second Bitcoin machine in Canada. And that, once again, it's just a much larger version of
the
little
small
Skyhook, but it came out first. And it's fun. Looks space agey, Star Trek type. I like it.
Are there lights, or what does it look like?
Yeah, it definitely flashes. It definitely flashes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to rewatch this, and that was the purpose. See, we set you up on one small limited camera, so for you to actually see what it's gonna look like, you're gonna have to rewatch.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to rewatch the episode so that you're forced to give us feedback.
I will guarantee you at least one hit.
Okay,
right.
One hit.
Sweet.
We actually only need 2, so that means I don't have to watch it. Ethan has to though. So.
Okay, I'll watch. So we now have 2 hits.
Yeah.
Call that a
and then
success.
Exactly right. We're good. That's what we're aiming for the last one, and we got 2 hits.
So you were saying, so right now it's the podcast seems to only be available on YouTube.
Yeah.
So what's the plan for it? Will it be on iTunes anytime soon? Or?
Well, you know what? I started to just kind of briefly look into the process, and Ethan's really familiar, so I'm going to get Ethan whenever you have time to help me with it. And I started reading into it, but it's a little bit more complicated than I thought. So where I'd have to go and set up an RSS feed and do some other stuff that I'm somewhat technical, but not in this area. So this is completely new. When I had started off on the first episode with Ben, our intention was, kind of figure out what it is that we want to do, what we want to chat about, these various things. I thought it was going to be like, click, oh, it's on, done, right? So can you tell me more? Like, how exactly would I set up, like, a podcast?
Well, we should strip the audio of it from the video, and we'll put it up on, like, SoundCloud or iTunes, and just a matter of uploading that.
Okay.
Maybe creating an account. I don't know. I'm not part of the Mac world, so I don't use iTunes or is that an iOS store? What is it called?
Yeah, I have no idea.
One of those, like, however you manage to distribute content on that network.
Okay.
Probably just a matter of creating an account and uploading just the audio.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I'm looking at the wrong source, but how would you do it on Linux? or how would you do it?
That's not the right sort of content distribution system. I think like SoundCloud is a good option. You create a SoundCloud account and just start uploading the content that way.
Cool.
That's a good start.
Okay, there you go. That might be
and
my
then
answer.
you can embed it on your own. Let's say if you have a blog,
you
could embed that through your little blog posts, and you could write a little description of it and give them the SoundCloud download link, or you could. In that way, SoundCloud hosts the file for you.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could just have your own server that hosts the file, and generate RSS feed is easy enough to do for that.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's technical matters for another time.
Yeah. So my intention was never really to make this a video thing, although it's kind of coming up as a video thing to start on YouTube. So I'll take some of Ethan. There's a lot of cameras. Yeah, there's a lot of cameras, so I'm gonna look really dumb because at times I think I'm staring at the camera, but I'm actually not.
We have the video feed that shows like your picture and all the other cameras is over here on the left, but there's a camera here we just don't have on at the moment. So our video camera is actually this direction, but we're trying to look over here to see your picture. And then in fact, your webcam is over here.
Yeah, so there's...
we're looking off. It's random.
Yeah,
part of
it
random
is, right.
curiosity.
Exactly.
It's part of the theme.
How are you guys mic'd up right now? Is that the microphone up there?
Yeah, it is. Oh, can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the options was to have a microphone on the table.
Yeah.
But then it looks a little bit ugly and it's got flashy lights and stuff and be a bit distracting. So Anthony and I used some twine into literally, we drilled into the hole, added some twine to pull this Zoom recorder down, and then we've attached that via an XLR cable all the way back to the camera system. And then that audio that comes from here through the XLR connector goes into our little studio production system. And it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. The audience actually can't see it. So it's just like this is about camera view, and then it's just right above it. So the audience can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't come into it. The audio quality seems to be pretty good.
It's pretty good. We're going to dampen the room a bit more. We put carpet in and some sound absorbing foamy super tech material. It's okay.
How many rooms are there? Hi was mentioning that that's a shared workspace, or?
Oh yeah. It's tell them more about Decentro.
Yeah, so it's a great space. We have 4. I don't have to count that now. There's 4 floors, including the basement. Mm-hmm. So a top floor, we've got sort of some long desks for people to work in sort of quiet, and a couple meeting rooms. Mm-hmm. We have second floor here is quite large. We hold our meetups every Wednesday night. We do Bitcoin meetups and Ethereum meetups.
And just right before that, Jeff hosts a technical session.
Yeah. So if people are more developer centric for Bitcoin related topics, and that goes from everything, not just like Bitcoin stuff, but going to cryptography and other mathematical aspects of it.
And
it's
touch
really
some
interesting.
Game design as well.
Yeah.
It's
kind of
we touch
free-form.
base on everything. So I try to attend those. Most of it goes over my head, but just
Start a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Eventually,
exactly.
just kind of force yourself in situations enough, and then it starts to make sense.
Exactly.
So that's on our second floor. We can also, there's lots of working space on the second floor, and then on the first floor we have mostly co-working desks and the Bitcoin machine.
Yeah, and ATM. You guys sell T-shirts.
Yeah, T-shirts and pins. Lots of Bitcoin swag.
Yeah. Magazines, white Bitcoin magazines. What else? And just we have a kitchen. Yes.
And a fridge.
Yeah.
And a microwave and 2 coffee machines.
Yeah.
An espresso maker and regular drip coffee.
Right, bathroom, shower on.
Yeah, we do have a shower here.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Does it cost money to like rent a space in there, or how does it work?
Yeah, so you
Can
rent
anyone show up?
Yeah, you rent a co-working space.
Yeah.
You would there's a lot of different co-working spaces in Toronto. And I imagine, are there similar spaces in Vancouver?
Yeah, there's tons.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's sort of targeted towards the startup market that's really becoming big and bigger in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Just pretty much anyone who's interested in doing some type of startup project is more than welcome to join the space, and they can see if there's a fit for them. And I mean, there's a few, they have lots of options, right? Anywhere from just showing up to like a Starbucks, plugging in, and all of a sudden they're working away, to coming to a co-working space, because then you can tap into some of the specialists that are in the area. And as well, you can go to different co-working spaces and tap into their specialists. So it really kind of depends what your project is, what you're working on, and what it is that you want to integrate.
Nice.
So
are you guys getting snow over there right now?
No.
It's a little bit cold though.
Yeah, it is.
Today's
Today's not
also
too bad.
December in Canada, so it's kind of expected, except for where you are in Vancouver. That's
Yeah, no. I miss it though. I miss it. I miss the
Yeah.
cold. I miss the snow sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before you joined the comedy world, were you an accountant before? What's your background?
No, I went to all the parties though.
Accounting parties.
But-
Yes.
Yeah.
Back from like a long time ago. I think
back-
Brandy came to one of the first parties that I had when I was like a co-op student a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
At what was it? The Sky Dome or Rogers Center now.
yeah,
right? So,
that was great.
Yeah, that was a good party.
That was while they still had a little more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then things changed a little bit after that.
Yes.
Yeah. but we won't go into it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So were you
I get
in
it.
technical fields, or what sort of your general area?
Oh, more technical and more client focused, I suppose. That's all more. I suppose it's more to default. Like the technological side was always more of a hobby, and then it just became a bit of a career.
Yeah.
And then, but it's always been, for the most part, always customer facing or client facing. The last job that I had, actually, I worked for Apple. Worked for them at the store for a while. So, doing repairs and that fun stuff. And prior to that, had a very long stint at Bell, where I was able to do their marketing. I was involved in the 2010 Olympics. So the marketing side was more of what I was pursuing. But right now, I don't know. I think I'm at that stage where it's about time for a change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out. The accounting thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's not for Brandy.
The route I want to go right now, but it's nice to have accountant friends though. Has always been pretty reliable for that financial advice, and whether it was legitimate advice or maybe.
No, I'm setting you up for all sorts of felonies. You're going to jail pretty soon. I've made a call earlier today, just in case this.
I'm very aware. Every time I talk to you, I feel like you're trying to sell me a timeshare or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's always like, hey, check out this new idea I've got, or check out this new little this new thing to invest in.
Yeah, there's one in Florida, Brandy. I'll tell you about it after. It's only going to cost you $20,000 up front, and then you're going to only have to pay a few $1,000s here and there. But we'll talk about it.
That's a lot more reasonable than the other ones I've signed up for in the past. So,
Yeah.
You're getting better. You're reading me better. Hi.
Yeah, no, but on a serious note, I'm gonna start I'm gonna start a series, maybe, I'm not sure, financial curiosity, or something along those lines, where I sort of go in like personal investments and help people how to save and figure out ways and little neat tricks to assist people in kind of saving up for their retirement fund. So that one, Brandy, you're gonna have to watch, right? It's just gonna be a lot of practical advice, starting from if you're an employee and you're working, you should try and maximize, let's say, your RSPs. If you've got any type of work plan where they'll match your investment, you should definitely do that first and sort of go through like the logical steps on what you can do, what type of investments to stay away from, what to get into. So, Brandy, we'll talk about that too, and just kind of, because one of the things that I've always had a lot of fun with is looking into deals, like electronics. We'll share deals. I'll send out like random stuff, and that stuff is kind of fun because you can always talk about it. It's like a TV that you're able to get at a certain percentage off, and
You
it's
got
a great
RTV
deal.
here, but
Yeah.
I found that one at a pretty good discount.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was like 700 or something like that for
60
inch. 60 inch.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but that kind of stuff is fun, but really it doesn't translate into like a really huge amount. Whereas if you take a look at your investment and focus in on how you can optimize it, it could mean the difference from saving like a couple of $100,000s more versus not over a lifetime, or even a few $1,000,000, depending on how much you're putting away, right? So it's kind of looking at the psychology of savings, as well as taking a look at the practical steps that you can take in any economy, whether it's going up or down. So that's one of the things I'm going to try and look into, and just have casual conversations with people that are very smart in the space and take a look at it from like a practical perspective. Yeah. So that's coming
Okay.
eventually.
So this isn't it.
No, this is
Could
it.
be.
Yeah, this could be it. We could dive into it, but yeah, no, we're gonna run out
two
of time.
topics to talk about, right? Are the new changes to the laws
Oh,
over
yeah.
there's over 100,000 where they'll what happened in Cyprus. Remember?
Right.
Those sorts of
Right.
regulations are coming into Canada.
Yeah, they're Brandy, are you familiar with what happened in Cyprus?
No, please enlighten.
Okay, so in Cyprus, I can't remember the exact date, so I'm going to screw up a lot of the details, so forgive me on that. But I think it might have been in April. So what happened in April was they announced for certain individuals that make over X amount, I can't remember the amount, it might have been, I don't know, 100,000 or
I think it's around 100, but we'll have to
yeah,
look
it could be something like that. So essentially, they said they're going to take a haircut off of all of the current deposits within your account, a certain amount, and they'll, let's say it was 40%, for example, and I might be wrong on the specifics, but so essentially, if you have an account and let's say you meet their thresholds, whatever those bright line tests are, and they'll come in, they'll take 40% of your money or whatever the specific amount is. So what that started was a lot of people started to flee Cyprus. So knowing that that was coming in, they withdrew all their money, and some of them tried to, drive across the border with cash. Other individuals bought gold, silver, and they tried to drive across the border. There was one family, unfortunately, they got caught at the border, and I think they ended up losing like a really, really large amount.
Well, it's a matter of the government appropriating your funds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And in that case, I believe it was probably illegal initially. Yeah. Laws would have to get changed. I think the worry here is that our laws are being changed such that it wouldn't be illegal for the government to appropriate their funds.
Right. And the thing that they've gone by, so what happened from Cyprus from there was that people started, after a few of them got caught, they realized, hey, we should do this with Bitcoin. So there are some issues with that. But what's going on now is that they're saying this was always a part of this insurance program, that it's only up to $100,000 here that you're insured for. So essentially they're saying nothing changes, but there is some change. But for people like myself, I don't even have $100,000, so it's not going to affect me. But you're still insured for up to $100,000, and they group certain buckets of accounts. So checking and savings accounts, for example, would be considered one account, and then having a different account at financial institutions would be a separate account. So really, the measure now is once you get up to $100,000 in cash, you should open up a new account and do something different with it, just in case. It's really getting back at that they're trying to avoid bailouts because they're extremely unpopular. And then what they're trying to implement is bail-ins. So then if our banks are ever in a position where they're no longer financially viable, then what they'll do is take a haircut for anyone who meets those bright line tests. So if you have more than $100,000 in this cluster of accounts, let's say your savings and your checking account, you have $101,000, and our banking industry is going to hell, then they're going to come in and take your $1,000, right? But you'll still be insured for your 100. And if you're unfortunate enough to be have $200,000, then you lose $100,000 in that particular account. Yeah. Well, Ethan, was there anything else that you wanted to discuss or elaborate on that?
There's a lot of details we should refresh ourselves on. It's a tad scary, but your thoughts? All this requires sort of the assumption that we're going to require bailouts, or at least preparing for that. What are your thoughts on the state of the economy? David Cameron has recently come in, and we're going to hit out publicly stated 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Say that we're going to hit at least another recession.
Oh, all the signs are there.
Every sign seems to point to the fact that we're in for another 2008 type of situation.
Okay,
sooner rather than later.
So to be honest, I didn't really want to go completely this direction with this one in particular, but
another time.
No. Well, it's Well, I was hoping to kind of have like a fun conversation with Brandy, but Brandy, do you want to hear more about this?
Yes.
Okay, so all the signs are there, and the key indicators are, let's say, for example, McDonald's not doing well. Black Friday was a huge bust. Cyber Monday, however, was very good, but what that's essentially saying is that the mindset of North American consumers is that they're shifting to buy stuff online, and usually when people buy things online, they demand a bigger discount. So essentially people have less money to spend is the implication. I'm going to get all of this wrong. All my facts are wrong because really we're sort of discussing, just very, very randomly, which is the point of the show. But come on, don't hold me on a lot of these facts. Most of it is going to be wrong, I think. But the indicators are there. It seems like retail in general isn't doing very well, and it's usually a sign. Go ahead.
I have one. So I know this is. I think we should look at some of the details about this, and it's going to push us far afield, perhaps for another episode. But I do have something I want to raise. Brandy might be able to could chime in as well. In the past, you and I have had brief conversations about inflation.
Yes.
And given your expertise in accountancy and finances, for a layman like myself who might read like CPI and think the inflation's at like I think it's 0.8% or something this previous year, or 2.8%.
Right.
But then I look at, just recently I saw on the CBC, said, prices of basic goods like bread and milk and wheat and stuff are going up 5%. In fact, meat, I think this is an average. Meat went up last year 12%, and veggies went up 5%.
Right.
And so we're being told like inflation's only at 1%, 2%, or 3%. So where's the disconnect? Well, how are we supposed to measure inflation and what's going on here?
Right. So to be honest, I'm not even sure how to interpret like the inflation index. Instead, what I do is I take a look at a basket of goods that I actually purchase, which are kind of slim. Okay, so now everyone's gonna get to know what it is I actually consume. So I love potato chips. So I'm very consistent with the brand of potato chips I buy, and same thing with orange juice, Tropicana. So I follow.
Vinegar?
I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely. But
vinegar's good.
So I follow a couple of specific products, and what I've noticed is over the years they've risen by much more than whatever the inflation index is. So one of the speculation is that our money, and I mean, it changes, right? And it really comes down to how you're measuring it. But I think our money is losing purchasing value, at least for the stuff that I buy, which is my individual CPI index, if you want to call it. And for me, our money is losing value quicker than what the index says. I can't buy as many jugs of orange juice or as many bags of potato chips. In fact, some of them are getting as high as $3, $3.50. So I almost never buy them anymore, except for when they're on sale. So if they're on sale, then I'll buy it at a certain price. But even then, like just over, I'd say the past 9 years or so, I've noticed that Tropicana orange juice, they're not 4 liters, but the really big one where it's just under 4 liters, they used to be as cheap as $3.50, and now they've risen to like $8, right? Just over the past couple of years. So, I mean, these are the things that I buy, and it's what I follow, and it's what I notice. So my feeling is that inflation is happening actually a lot higher than the official amount.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Brandy? In Vancouver, the prices are already pretty high in Vancouver, but have you noticed them rising faster than 1 or 2% per year?
Yeah, well, I think the easiest one to look at would be the price of gas, right?
Oh,
yeah. I think there's usually about a 20-cent difference between here and Ontario, which is, it breaks my heart every time I go back to visit. I would definitely say it's definitely risen quite a bit. Like if you think, especially last year, I think it jumped probably a good 10 to 20 cents within about a 2 to 3 month span.
Hey, more recently, with the drop in gas price, have you noticed, drop in oil? Yeah. Oil dropped by quite a bit. At one point, it was like all the way down to $40, and I think it's risen back up to about 80 something dollars. But usually, I think the last time it was at those prices, I think we were below $1, but we're still paying relatively high. How's it in Vancouver? Did you notice was there a big drop as well?
There was a very big drop. It was a noticeable drop in the sense that I would say maybe a few months ago you could be paying anywhere from $1.30 to $1.40. Mm-hmm. And right now, as of yesterday, I saw it as low as $1.12. Okay. So yeah, but you're right. The ratio of cost of oil to gas is there's still a very big distinction between the two, like now versus how it was several years ago. Yeah. When oil was roughly not the same price, but around the same price. Yeah. So yeah, the distinction is there, for sure.
Yeah, and you know what, like a lot of the stuff we're talking about, where I'm going to say it's just based on our personal experience. So one day, and as you say, Ethan, it'd be great if we have like an expert come in to kind of elaborate and talk more on some of these issues and, sort of shed the light for us, because to a certain extent.
When you mentioned it, I thought I should have been, the last few years would have been great to have kept some data on this. So every time I buy maybe some apples or milk or butter or whatnot, just to keep a price log of this, and then at least have some data to compare it. Yeah. But it certainly seems to be higher. When you mentioned it maybe a month or two ago, I started paying a little bit more attention to this matters, and it certainly seems to be the case that these prices are rising faster than the inflation, and how it's calculated. You made some interesting points about how we calculate inflation. Yeah. It used to be much simpler. early 1900s, and now it's how many like magical variables are there?
Yeah, it's very complicated. But the one thing I do notice, and just it's been over this retail season, that a lot of retail chains are closing.
Yeah.
Like one of it,
Reitman's and the Smart Set just announced that they're shutting down.
Yeah.
Jacobs
There's no
Jacobs declared bankruptcy as well. You're terrible. But Jacobs
shop there.
Yeah, Jacobs declared bankruptcy as well, and it's one of it was one of Annette's favorite stores, so she was really shocked, right? And the speculation that I see anyways is that there's a lot of American companies coming in and taking up that retail space because Canada is a lot more profitable from them, but their model is a lot different because I think some of them...
Target couldn't make it in Canada.
Well, that's because they stepped into the Zeller brand, in my eyes, right? Like, I'll shop at Target in the US, but I won't shop at Target here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's kind of
No,
funny.
I agree.
Yeah, so they're having a hard time, but they're doing pretty bad. Yeah, so at this point, I think it's exactly as you say. We don't know when the timing is. It's impossible to time when an economic crash is going to come, but it's looming.
It's also kind of the death of the mall. There's a lot of photo essays I've seen done on this, where people just aren't going out to these malls to shop.
Right.
And in fact, just in Waterloo alone, there's a crappy little mall right downtown, and more than half the shops were boarded up. They couldn't even lease the space. They can't even find people to lease it.
Wow.
Just the economic activity has dropped remarkably. And if you go, like that's one of the cities outside of Toronto.
Yeah.
Because I think Vancouver's probably the same. You know about this, Brandy.
Yeah.
But I find Toronto's pretty isolated from much of these sort of economic turbulations.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of economic activity happening here. But if you go to like St. Catharines or Waterloo or Kitchener, you find, areas that were once thriving to an extent, practical ghost towns at this point. And on the matter of like Reitman's and others shutting down, I must say I'm kind of thrilled because I see them as kind of desecrating the Canadian landscape. If you go to and they've made Canada homogenous.
Yeah.
If you go to almost any mall anywhere in Canada, you're going to find the same stores: Bootlegger, Reitman, Smart Set.
Yeah.
The same products everywhere, and this is disgusting. Whatever happened to kind of like individual mom and pop or kind of more unique stores? It's not even. That would be okay even if Reitman's had shops everywhere, but at least make them different. Kind of provide some uniqueness or something that's more fun and attractive to go and shop at. But they're all the same, and I find I just don't personally. Because I'm right on this matter, I also don't appreciate it. Okay, my objective of truthful opinion.
You're lumping yourself in there with the hipster crowd at this point, so.
I don't think this is a matter of hipsterism. This is not a matter of hipster.
Bootlegger is still in business. I have no idea how Bootlegger is still in business.
Yeah.
This,
by the way, for your reference, is not a hipsterism kind of attitude to take. It's just a general respect for like Canada.
Yeah.
And with RioCan malls and Fairview malls and stuff, they do nothing to beautify the environment or beautify our visual consumer environment.
Okay. Yeah. We're touching on several topics because then the other side of that is you have a lot of generic companies that do very well. Like let's say, I don't know, Abercrombie and Fitch. They're very generic. They have the exact same theme, exact same layout, same products in all of the stores, and they do very well. So I'm not really sure, because sometimes from a business perspective, it's very hard to make each one individualized. Like there's Lululemon. When you go into a Lululemon, you'll get the exact same experience whether you're in Vancouver or Canada, but people go there because they expect that particular experience. So it kind of works both ways. Like having a nice small mom and pop store, you go there for that experience, and when you do, you pay a little bit more, right? Like my shopping order or where I'll shop now, it really comes down to the timing. If I need this product right away, I'm willing to pay more. I'll pay a little bit more to get it, and if I can wait a week or two, I'm gonna buy it online. Like hands down, nothing can compete to online retail. Whether you need a USB drive or except for clothes. Clothes, actually, I don't even shop for clothes. It's been quite a while. So we're going to Portland. There's no taxes there, so we're going to try and purchase up to our limit there and clothes. So we'll try and hedge our vacations and save some money while we're there as well. So that's probably where I'll buy like a lot of the stuff that I'll wear for next year. To be honest.
When are you going to Portland?
This December, just coming up,
Are you?
like the 23rd or 24th. You want to time it? You're not too far from Portland, right? Can you drive down?
Oh, I love to drive. I always, so far, my driving record is, I'd say 50%. So I got one speeding ticket so far going down.
Okay.
But it's a very scenic drive.
Cool.
What are you flying out?
Yeah, we're gonna fly to San Francisco and then we're gonna head over to Portland. I can send you dates for when we're there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if the timing works out, come. We'll hang out, right? We'll hang out. It'll be awesome.
And if you don't want to have your cash stolen when you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, you carry it in Bitcoin.
You know what? I've heard about that, and I think it might be like a U.S. specific thing where they'll. I don't even want to speculate, right? But I definitely think like asset forfeiture is something that happens a little bit more in the U.S. I'm
Well,
not sure
definitely.
to what extent it happens in Canada, but I don't hear about it,
No,
like
I
the
don't.
stories.
I don't think it's as big a problem. It seems to be rampant in the States.
Yeah.
Although you'd have to calculate how many times does it actually happen versus how many people get pulled over every day and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it could be like the stories when it does occur for some corrupt police officers.
Yeah.
They just make the news.
Yeah.
You'd have to do some data analysis on that.
I'm gonna have credit card, so I think I should be good for the most part for shopping. Yeah. So I'll try and stay away from whatever. Yeah. Okay, we're just about done. Thank you, Brandy, for joining. So we'll come back, talk more about stuff. If there's anything that you think we should talk about, give me a shout. I can help you set up those Bitcoin wallets and whatever, but we can talk offline more. So.
Okay. I got to ask you about actually your
Oh.
opinion later on points cards and cashback credit cards and things like that.
Oh yeah, I can definitely recommend whatever it is that kind of depends on what you need. So take a look at it from like a lifestyle perspective, what kind of stuff you already purchase or buy into, and then I can recommend a couple for you. Yeah,
I can dig it.
All right, okay. Thank you guys, and if you have any comments